What is up, folks? Welcome to the latest episode of the Harold McBasketball Show. I'm your gracious host, as always, Harold McBasketball, along with my co-host, I Know Ball Paul. Paul, how are you, man?
Basketball is back in 20 minutes. The NBA season opener, Nuggets Lakers will tip off. We'll probably put this podcast up tomorrow, but it's hype. We drafted in fantasy 2 nights ago.
Yep, 2 nights ago. We drafted on Sunday. Today's Tuesday.
And it feels good because with the nights, the sun is setting earlier, the days are getting shorter and colder. Fantasy and just the NBA in general is what keeps me going. So it's great. I'm super excited. And yeah, we're here to react, I guess, to our fantasy draft. And I'm beyond pumped. I really am.
Me too. This is what we've all been waiting for. Thank you to the fans out there who grinded through the off season with us. Those of you who started listening before the season actually started, you're the real ones. But now the shit gets so easy. The content is gonna be flowing from here on out. We got games pretty much every day, from now until I don't know, 6 months from now. And then not only we have the regular season, but we have fantasy basketball, which is amazing. This is what makes basketball so great. Is the best fantasy sport ever. Sorry, fantasy football.
It is. I agree. And it's you don't have to check every day. Obviously, there are games every day. You can set your lineups in advance, but it's pretty involved because there are games every day. You probably want to check to see that all your roster is playing, that nobody could be, moved to the IR. Wink, wink to some people in our league who are already sleeping.
Yeah, but, Gary, get cut. You're gonna be the next VJ. We're gonna say see you later.
Yes.
And it's 2 teams.
This podcast, for better or worse, will be, the podcast channel in general. We're going to talk fantasy. We love it so much.
We'll generally give you all a heads up though before the episode. Yes. Is it going to be NBA talk or is it going to be fantasy talk? Sometimes they're going to crisscross on each other, but we'll try to keep them separate for those of you who are coming just for strictly NBA content. Yeah, we're also doing the fantasy show, and I'm hoping that it catches on a little bit because fantasy basketball is amazing and not that many people know it's so great. So hopefully we can start to cultivate an audience and maybe start to get some people onto the better scoring methods, because the ESPN standard and categories are both trash. So if you played that way in the past, that's probably why you hate it. But the way we do it is the right way, the only way to do it. And it makes it absolutely amazing.
Yeah, maybe I don't know if people care, but maybe I just go over our scoring system. It's
yeah, kind of the quick overview is ESPN standard is essentially everything's a point. So you get a point for, scoring a point. You get a point for an assist, a point for a rebound, point for a block, point for a steal. But there's also weird nuances where you're going to get points for made free throws, lose points for missing them, get points for making shots, get points for losing shots. And it really skews the profile and makes certain players really good in fantasy who just straight up aren't that good in real life. It's a classic example is last year, Rob Williams, love the guy. But he only plays 20 minutes a game, and he was going the 4th round in a lot of drafts last year because his play style just high percentage from the floor, lots of blocks, lots of rebounds, translates really well to the ESPN standard. We don't think that makes a ton of sense. So we do our scoring. Is we give a little more weight to points, a little more weight to defensive stats.
Yeah, I've got it right here just quickly.
Yeah, if you want to give the actual numbers, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, maybe a bit boring, but we do 3 points for rebounds, 4 for assists, 5 for steals, 5 for blocks. You lose 3 points for a turnover. You also get a point for 3-pointers made, which isn't my favorite, but it's what it is. It doesn't make a huge difference.
Up for debate if that's removed in the future.
Yeah, but it's quirky enough, and not it's not. It doesn't make a big difference.
Yeah,
and 2.2 points for each point scored.
Mm-hmm.
So one layup would be 4.4. It sounds a bit specific, but it works well, I think.
Yeah, and the scoring is very niche, so it's you kind of do get your good benchmark numbers. So you'll hear us referred to a lot. Usually like 100 points per game is like an absolute stud player. Like that's someone you're taking like the first, second, third round. And then like the god tier guys and be guys who get like 110 plus. Jokic will be like 120 plus. Same with like Giannis and Tatum. 80 plus is good. 70 plus was role player. 60 range is kind of like fringe. You know, are you on the roster? Are you not? Probably depends which side of 60 you're on. But those benchmarks just make it like really easy to just like, you know, track players, get a feel for how good they are. We love it. We think it's perfect. And something about the 100 mark just looks so good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the big scoring numbers, the big fantasy numbers, definitely it adds something. And a great night from a player, if Jokic drops like a 30-point triple double, he's scoring 180, 200 points, and it's like, wow. And then we
Yeah.
have a golden snitch, a quadruple double, which has never been achieved. It's 1,000 points, which I'm kind of like, maybe we should chill on that, but
I kind of love it. I think if it ever actually happened in the playoffs, that we'd have to have a legitimate discussion as to whether we should remove the bonus or not, like on the spot. Because I don't think that should ever really like tilt the playoff matchup. But I think in the regular season, it's fun.
I guess. But I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It should. I feel like it should be like 50 or 100 points, but
The 1,000's hilarious. Well, we'll worry about that when it happens. It hasn't happened in a very long time. So as of now, no big deal. But yeah, if it happens this season, we'll probably do an entire podcast episode on it and the repercussions around the league.
yeah. Yeah, I like how we're kind of already like this could be an awful thing, but okay.
Yeah, this is already so niche. Everyone who's listening who's not like in the league is like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? For those of you who care about like regular basketball, the first games today are Lakers Nuggets. Awesome game. Very stoked. I'm gonna be just keeping up with it on my laptop here. Then we have Suns Warriors, which is also an amazing matchup. So we got four powerhouse teams in the West showing down. Not sure what the spreads are, but I would assume that Nuggets will at least be favored for that first game. And Suns Warriors, I feel like that's kind of a coin flip. I kind of lean Warriors here, especially because Bradley Beal is injured, so I feel like that gives the Warriors a good shot here. But they also don't have Draymond, so we'll see.
Love that that Beal is already missing the first.
Yeah, who would have fucking guessed that Beal was gonna be hurt for game one? So you hate to see it for the Suns, but you know it's definitely something that feels like it was pretty predictable with this kind of cobbled together team of old superstars.
All right, should we just react to everyone's team? I mean, let's hard
I
react
mean, we
to our
should.
own teams first.
I was gonna say, I was like, let's start with our own team.
Let's start with our own teams.
Let's go.
So, super niche at this point. You're just going to hear us talk about our fantasy basketball teams. But the ethos of this channel and this podcast is we are going to be so passionate about our own fantasy basketball team and our own fantasy basketball league that you will buy in and you will, you know, anyone with a true passion, an authentic passion, it'll be evident and you guys will buy in and we'll have 1 million subscribers by next year. So let's pull up your team first. The Houston Horses.
Let's go. Should I share my screen so that the fans watching on YouTube can see it? So here we go. We also put a lot of work into the actual team names, locations, and logo designs, which are all done by Cena. So shout out Cena for designing all of these. The Houston Horses are a very storied franchise with several finals wins. I think 3.
I think
I'm
3.
Sure. I'm losing track at this point, but I don't know. I feel like there is a way to check, but maybe it's just on the app. Anyway, they've won a couple of times. They're pretty good. And this is how the squad's looking this year. So luckily I was blessed this year with the first overall pick. We always do it essentially like first place gets the first pick, second place gets the second pick. That's how we've done it historically. This year we kind of did the same way, but we decided to go lottery style. So depending on where you finish in the standings, you got that lottery pick with the associated team. I was lined up with the Spurs, so pretty much immediately I knew I was going to get that top pick. So I took Jokic, which was a pretty easy choice. So very excited about that. Great fit on the Horses as well, since he is a notable, huge fan of the animal. So that's pretty easy. He's like pretty much always the best player. So yeah, Jokic. Second round was Markkanen, who's kind of an interesting one actually. In the draft, I hadn't really expected to take him. If we go to like the actual draft here, there were some other guys I was kind of like hoping that were going to fall to me. Like guys who had like really picked out who I want to follow me were guys like, like Banchero, Kyrie, Wembanyama. I thought Randall might slip to me. All of them got taken. So I was kind of like, all right, who's on the board right now? Mark and I didn't think it was slip, but he did. So like that was a pretty easy call there. And then Cade was kind of like my sleeper backup, like all the guys who I wanted got picked. I was going to go with him because I think he's going to be as good as some other consistent guys like Bam or DeJounte or DeRozan. But I think he's also kind of got that upside to be even better this year. So, for example, like last season, he averaged like 20 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. If his scoring goes up to like 23, 24, maybe assists go up to like 7, rebounds go up to 7, all of a sudden, like he might be like an 100-point player and a great value here. So pretty excited about that, but he was a little bit of a reach. What are your
You won
what
4
are your thoughts on
championships.
what are your thoughts on these picks? How many championships?
4.
Damn, I have 4. Good for me.
Good for you. Yeah, man. Like Harry said, Jokic, obvious. Yeah, Lauri Markkanen, I agree that he kind of slipped. I think he is an easy 100, if not better. He's the easy first option on that team. No complaints there. Cade, good pick, I would say. Yeah, I at the time I was like, but then I think you've kind of convinced me, and he just needs to be able to stay on the floor, which I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. I do think he'll have a big year, and there's not a whole lot of people in the rotation that are going to take the ball out of his hands. So I really do think you killed it on your first 3 picks.
Thank you. Yeah, Cade was a bit of a dart throw because there are definitely guys I'd circle that I mentioned earlier who are like really consistent. You know what they're getting, like those guys like DeRozan or Murray. But I don't know. I do kind of like going for guys who might offer a little more upside.
Yeah, more upside for sure.
That's why I went with Cade. You know, maybe he's got like a lower floor than those guys, but if it hits big, you know, that's gonna help out big time. So we will see. We will see with him. Let's see. 4th and 5th round were McCollum and Kuzma. A lot of people know I'm very bullish on the Pelicans this year. So I'm excited to have a piece of this roster because it just means I get to watch more of the Pelicans games. McCollum's also someone who like initially didn't plan on taking it. I was hoping that some like the young guys would follow me, but clearly we have a lot of listeners of the podcast because guys that I love like Giddey, Şengün, Mobley, who I really wanted, like went like way earlier than I expected. And I literally just had like no chance of even touching them. But it's nice though, because gave me more time to game plan. So I went with McCollum. He's super consistent. I think he'll be like an easy 85. And he's also just like a big games played guy. I know he's getting a little bit older. He's like 32 now at this point, but I think he like pretty much plays 70 plus games every season. So I think he'll be consistent for me, and he'll probably have opportunity for really big games because I imagine Zion and Ingram will probably end up missing big stretches throughout the season. And then 5th round was Kuzma. Kuzma I actually loved this year. I think he was like a pretty easy 85 last season. And I think with KP gone, it's like he'll probably be an 85 again, at least for the potential to push up to 90. So I was really excited about him. I was stoked that he fell to me because I had him a good bit higher in my rankings. So yeah, rounds like 1 through 5, I like absolutely loved. Like I thought the guys who fell to me were perfect.
Yeah, I think, yeah, no, I very good. CJ, like you said, he plays more consistently than you might expect for a guy of his age, but he does. And if Ingram and Zion struggle to stay on the floor, his usage will shoot up. But with those 2 guys playing, he might be more of like an 80 range player. I don't know. And Kuzma, I'm a big fan of Kuzma, and I agree that with Beal and with KP gone, his usage might be a bit higher. But then again, Jordan Poole might be just enough to not have Kyle be like the crazy high usage that. But I think he's consistent 85. So
for sure, and like
no
that's exactly like what I'm looking for here. It's like I feel like I got like my 3 stars in the first 3 rounds, so it's almost like round 4 and 5. I feel like are big, just like don't mess us up rounds. Like don't draft somebody who's going to end up being like a 70 or a 75. Like if you've got guys in front of you who you know are going to be like 85s, just take them. So that's why I was stoked to get these guys. If one of these guys didn't go, like I would have had to get into my bag a little bit because there's a little bit of a drop off after them, I think. I would have considered Scoot. I think Scoot's got a high ceiling, but definitely a little bit riskier because you never really know with rookies. And then honestly, like if he wasn't there either, like I probably would have taken Jalen Green then, because I am obviously very high on Jalen Green. I think he's gonna have a big season. So I really want to draft him. I hate that like I just wasn't quite in a position to be able to get him on my team. But yeah, I think he was an awesome pick by the Bronx Barons, who are maybe in for like a good redemption story this season.
Yeah.
Other rounds, let's see. 6 and 7, I took Rozier, D'Lo. I think they're both gonna be like consistent, like 75 to 80s. That's really what I was going for here. Terry was really good last season. Obviously, he's not gonna be as good now that LaMelo Ball is back, but he gets good stats. Like I think last season he was averaging like 25 and 5. You know,
I know.
maybe the assists come down a little bit. I think the points will probably stay up. He's just a really awesome scorer and amazing 3-point shooter. So I think I'll drop off a little bit, but I think he's still like an 80, which is a good grab there. And then D'Lo's like a little more of a mystery. You know, we'll kind of have to see how he fits into this Lakers team, but I feel like worst case scenario, he'll probably be like a 75, but with maybe potential push up to like high 70s.
Yeah. D'Lo, I think he's not really a mystery in the fact that he's like a pretty consistent 18 and 5. But the catch with him is that he's gonna get you 80, 90, 100 one night, and then he's gonna give you 40, 50, 60 the other nights. It's not like a consistent 75. It'll average out, I think, to about a 75, but it's very up and down. He's quite streaky, but I like him as a player. Maybe a tiny bit early, but you know, it's round 7 at the end of the day. So
Yeah, I mean, like looking at like some of the other guys who went in around 7, it's not like I feel like the other options weren't like spectacular.
yeah,
Like other guys who went around here, like a little bit
slim
lower,
pickings
got
at
like
this point.
Thompson, Buddy Hield, who I think is going to be like irrelevant this season, like Marcus Smart, Brooke Lopez, like guys who I think like might be like 70s, like maybe. So I feel pretty good getting someone who might push up to 80s here. But there were some other picks like in this area that we're considering that I think are really good. Like you took Chris Paul, who I think is going to be good. I think he should probably be about an 80. The only concern there is like, is he going to miss time?
Yeah.
I also really like Clarkson. Clarkson, I consider it a lot. I think he'll be like a 78 starting at point guard for the Jazz. I think he averaged like 25 and 5 last season. I think he'll just run that back. So he's really good. And then Jeremy Grant, I also really liked and considered here as well.
Yeah.
Because although like I think he's a weird fit on the Blazers, it's pretty much the only veteran on that team. And with Lillard gone, like even with like you know, the young guys getting more touches with Scoot coming on, with Aiden coming on, I think he's still going to have a lot of shots on that team. So
Yeah.
I think he'll be good. I think he'll also be probably like a 75, 76. Later rounds. Oh my God. We're almost done, we swear. We're almost on the Paul's team. These are the only ones I really care about left. Barrett, who I had last year, like he's good enough. He's kind of like a 70. So all that really matters here is like making sure I grab players who are rosterable. Because last season I didn't really do that. Like I think with these picks, I kind of wasted them. Last year, I think I took like Chris Duarte, who was like irrelevant. He was awful for the Pacers. And then I also took at this spot, I think, who else did I take? I took Jaden Ivey here, who was like pretty good, but I think he was probably like a 65 on the season. So for here, I was kind of just looking for consistency, like give me guys who I know I'm going to roster for the year. So Barrett was an easy call. Nurkic, maybe a little bit more of a dart throw. We kind of have to see how his role looks on the Suns. Very excited to see what he does tonight. But I think as long as he's healthy, like I think he should also be like a pretty consistent, like 70 to 75. Yeah, that's pretty much it. In the final rounds, Cole Anthony, like maybe he'll be good, maybe not. I'll just cut him if he's not. And then Miles Bridges, already cut him. He's an asshole. So see you later.
I love it. Yeah, man. You are a very talented and accomplished GM, and you know what you're doing. And I think, yeah, you killed it. No bad picks. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, but
Thank you. That's all I need. We'll just have to see how they play tonight. And throughout the week. Here, let's go over to your team then. The
yes,
floor is yours. Logo's a little grainy right now, but hey, that's okay.
I designed that one.
It's
I might do
beautiful.
a redesign. I was also thinking of just becoming the Louisiana Frogs. I think it's a little bit less of a mouthful.
Yep, I think that would work. And like, although like the team goes by Bullfrogs, this team is like solely referred to as the Frogs.
Right.
I think the rebrand makes sense to just be the Frogs.
Then I gotta change my whole logo, but I'm gonna do it. Um, can you go to back to the draft thing, or should I just do it from here?
Yeah, no, let's go back to the draft. I just kind of want to give the whole team in a snapshot. People could see the logo. Back to our draft recap.
So interestingly, I did prepare for this draft. What I do is on a spreadsheet, I predict everyone's what they averaged last year, how many games they played last year, and then I predict what I think they'll do, and I'll kind of average it out and do like a big power ranking of that. And so I had that in a spreadsheet, but then like I forgot to print it out, and I kind of wanted to print it out to cross some names off. And so like halfway through the draft, I was trying to get my printer to work, and it was a whole ordeal.
Oh my
But
God.
that being said, I feel like I did my homework, but I I wish I had more put names down that I wanted to target, because with each pick I was kind of like, I don't know, going back and forth from my spreadsheet. Oh, who hasn't been picked? It was a bit chaotic, but ultimately I am pretty happy with my draft, because I think I was able to pick guys that I think fell a bit, and I'm confident in. A couple oversights, but we'll get into that. So my first overall pick was Joel Embiid. That's what he
Stud.
looks like. I'm very happy with this pick. I was surprised that Cena took Tatum second. Not that that's a terrible pick, but I mean, it's not a bad pick, but um, don't for Stone to get Doncic, I thought he was a pretty easy number 2 in my opinion, but
Yeah, I think in my own tier, it's like the way I view it is like one tier is like Jokic, Giannis, Luca. These are all guys who are like could potentially average 130 on the season. Because they kind of do it all with like scoring, rebounds, and assists. Tatum's kind of like a 120 is really good, but his assists just aren't quite um, as high as the other three. So a little bit of a reach, but he's bullish on him. He thinks maybe it's MVP season incoming. Maybe he
yeah.
does there's 1 or 2 more assists this season. Maybe he gets more points. So I see it. And then like yeah, Giannis is usually the easy second pick, but like, he has been having like some injury issues and did kind of have knee surgery this off season. So we'll see. He did end up missing some games towards the end of like the fantasy regular season last year, which ended up being fine for the Frogs, but was slightly concerning. But yeah, interesting shakeout. Like Embiid at 5 is like perfect. Like that's an awesome grab. And that's kind of like the end of like the next tier. Like these top 5 are all guys who are like 120, 130.
Yeah.
And kind of like immediately after that just drops down to guys who are like, like in like the 100 to 110 range. So there is a huge advantage with having a top 5 pick. But with that, you also don't draft again until like around like 30. So you kind of pay for it in the end.
Yeah. And out of those top five guys, I mean, Tatum and Jokic are the only guys that pretty consistently play like 70 games. Embiid averages the 125 to 130, but the catch with him is he usually caps out at about 60 games. But for me, whichever one of those 5 was left over, I was going to take, happily. So I knew going in, it was going to be one of those 5 guys, having the 5th overall pick, despite winning last year, being assigned to the Pistons in the lottery. So, I felt a 5, whatever. Second round, I take Karl-Anthony Towns at 10, which is not something, I don't know. This one's going to be it's going to be interesting, but I think his ceiling is 110, 115. And I think his floor is maybe 95, 100. Um,
I agree. I think he's a good high ceiling play. I think he kind of like slid in draft boards a little bit because he missed a lot of games last season, but in the past he's played a lot of games and like he's always pretty much been like a first round pick. So, like maybe there's a concern that he doesn't rebound quite as much next to Gobert, which like hurts his stock a little bit, but I think it could still be like an easy like 105, if he's playing as he should. So I like the pick. I also had Cat pretty high. I would have considered him at my picks as well if he was there.
it's tough seeing Victor go right after. Not that I would have rather picked him. I think Victor with, they're going to be very
Yeah, the game
careful with how
swing
much they
is
play
definitely,
him.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a concern.
So I'm happy with Karl-Anthony Towns, but yeah, seeing you pick Lowry, I'm like, oh, maybe I was a little, what's the word? Wasn't bullish enough on him. But overall, I'm pretty happy with Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I think Cat's got the higher ceiling compared to Lowry. But Lowry definitely like gives you that guaranteed consistency as the number one option on the team. So I like that, but I think Cat was an awesome pick as well.
Yeah. Moving along, Fred VanVleet, round 3.
Ready?
Um,
New addition to the Houston Rockets, a team that I love.
yeah, I honestly I think this was not a steal, but I'm very happy with him here. Because I don't know, I think he's going to do as well as he did last year. I think he was a 95 last year, maybe a 90, 95.
Yeah, I think he was a good
Um,
95 last season.
and I think he's like pretty obviously the best player on this Rockets team, and he's gonna play as such. Obviously, they're predicting he's gonna get some less minutes. I think that's possible, but
But also just not. I feel like usually ESPN is like pretty like often it makes sense to kind of like not go off the ESPN rankings and like their predictions. Because sometimes they're just wrong. Like
yeah.
they're projecting less minutes. Like, I don't know, if they just paid him 40 million a season. Like I think he's probably still gonna play 35 minutes a game.
And like, yeah, he was just playing with Pascal, Siakam, OG. These are pretty ball dominant guys. And not to say the Rockets don't have them, but you know, it's between him, Jalen Green, and kind of other guys who are a bit further down in the pecking order. So I'm
Yeah.
very happy with this pick. I expect 90 to 95 and a lot of games played. So
Yep. I think that's totally fair. Yeah, and I think you nailed it saying that on the Rockets last season, or sorry, the Raptors last season, he was essentially the second slash potentially even like third option at certain points. Like Siakam was the number one guy. They loved Barnes. They were feeding Barnes a lot. Like whether or not he deserved to be higher in the pecking order than Fred, like questionable, but that's kind of how things shook out. So we might get like even more touches and higher usage on this Rockets team. And the ESPN projections like might be too bullish on guys like Jalen Green, who I love. But I think their projection for Jalen Green is like 26, 27 points per game, which might be too much. Like he might be more like a 23, 24 points per game guy,
yeah.
which would open up, more shots for Fred, more points. So I think they might have under projected Fred a little bit and maybe over projected some other guys on that roster. So I think this is a good pick. I think it's still great. Something that was like, oh yeah, sorry, good.
No, yeah, I was gonna say like, Kevin Durant going right
That's what
after.
I was gonna say. I
Yeah,
was just
would
like, it was
be
reaching Durant slide. I was like, for a hot second after the draft, I was like, should I have just taken Durant at the start of the third round? Like, Durant would like absolutely amazing on this team right now, but the games played concerns are so real with him to
yeah,
where, although I'm probably gonna regret it for like the first like 2 months of the season, I think probably by playoff time, then I'd be glad not to have him on my roster.
pretty much. But yeah, there was I did see Ross taking him right after, and I was like, damn. Feels like Ross always picks
Ross
Kevin.
just Ross just gets like the absolute studs. Like if we take a quick break and just like look at like Ross's team, it's like let's see. He is where he's on. He's a
Ross, I think his brain is wired very similarly to mine when it comes to fantasy, because I always feel like he's picking the guys that I'm targeting.
Yeah, you got like Halliburton, amazing. Lillard, second round, like awesome. He'll be in 100 plus.
Lillard, I was pissed that he took him right before me.
Yeah,
I was
awesome
absolutely
pick.
taking
Durant,
Lillard.
amazing player. Fourth round, the Flames go with Kawhi, who was like really good last season when he was playing. So he potentially has potentially four guys who are going to be like 110s.
Lillard's, I thought, slid like crazy. Where'd he
Yeah,
go?
I can't believe like no offense to like my boy De'Aaron Fox, who was great for me last season, but like give me Lillard, give me Lillard for sure.
Vucevic, that's crazy. Like
Yeah,
Lillard in my rankings was like a top 10 player.
yeah, I probably would have put Lillard like probably right after Edwards. I think that's probably
Or
where.
maybe ahead of Edwards. I mean, Anthony Edwards, great as he is, he averaged like 100 points, and I think he's going to
Yeah,
average like 105.
I think he averaged less last season. I think he was like a 90 or 95. I think
Yeah.
Edwards is also like a tiny bit over projected. I love him, but ESPN has him averaging like 30 points per game next season. I think he has like the potential to do it, but I think when you have to share the ball with Cat, Loki also like Mike Conley, Gobert, like there's a lot of good players on this Wolves team. I think it's gonna be hard for anybody to average 30 points per game.
Man,
Um, but he could do it. But yeah, I think there are some guys that would take over him still.
I wanted Lillard so bad. He's the second option on a team that doesn't have a lot of depth. It has some depth. He didn't have any injury concerns last year. Obviously, the year prior, he definitely did.
Yeah, but they also tank so hard, like it's almost like hard to figure out, if he's missing games due to actual injury or if it's literally just a part of their tanking strategy.
You mean last year?
Yeah, last season at least, because 2 seasons ago he was hurt, but like last season it was like full tank.
Yeah, but I mean, he played like I think like 95% of the games until he hit his 58 point, and then they kind of
Yeah,
like shut him down basically. But
yeah,
he
exactly.
missed games.
And for the Bucks, like the Bucks are going to be, top like 1 or 2 seeds. Like he's gonna play a lot of games this year as long as he's healthy, which I kind of
He
expect.
fell way too far, and I was so pissed that he got taken because of
Yeah,
course I would have taken him there. But
yeah, he was a total steal.
anywho, let's where were we with me?
We kind of just wrapped up talking Fred VanVleet. Let's wrap up your draft and let's kind of just eyeball the board and like call out what other steals we saw, guys we wanted. Give shout out to teams who made good picks. But anyway, for your fourth round, this is the Harden pick.
Right. This is a very controversial pick. We had talked about how like if he doesn't play, his career is potentially at stake. So I was like, this seems like an obvious pick, but in retrospect, I'm seeing crazy things online of him not showing up to practice recently. Recently, it said he's taking care of his ill mother. I don't know. There's some weird stuff swirling around. I think Woj fucking insinuated that James Harden might retire.
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
Crazy. So,
Till Sham says that, I don't believe it.
oh man, the amount of drama. But if he just plays, man, to have him fourth round, I think is a steal. But he might be such a headache this year. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think like time will tell with this pick. You just need him to play eventually. I think it could be a guy who like might miss like the first couple of weeks of the fantasy season, because although like I think how the rule works, like if a guy sits out for no reason, the team can essentially like cut him and no other teams can add him. But as long as he's got like some way to get out of it, I think he can essentially kind of like skid by taking fines, but like not get that maximum punishment. So we'll see. They could drag it out. I think the Clippers are trying to put together a package right now. It's clear they're trying so hard with Terrence Mann. They're like pretending like Terrence Mann is like this young prospect and now he's starting and it's this big deal and he's this amazing guy to have. Like they're really trying to hype up Mann. And I think the point of that is like do a man trade and like not have to give up that many picks also. The Clippers are trying to make it happen right now. I think it's going to happen eventually. But yeah,
I've heard
it doesn't feel like the reunion with the Sixers is going to happen. So I think it's going to take a bit of time.
I've heard the Clippers were unwilling to trade Mann and 1 first-round pick. So I don't know. It's very frustrating because of how I think the Philly situation, I've said it so many times, is as good as it gets in terms of a roster to
It's
be
so
around
perfect
James
for him.
Harden. It's so frustrating, and I think he's fined. He's risking being fined like $350,000 per game he doesn't play, and that gets taken out of his $35 million salary for the season. So it's just mind-boggling. And I'm kind of just betting on the fact that we've talked about that crazy clause that if you're in the last year of your contract and you sit out, the team can fucking bar you from playing any games for any basketball team, and paying $350,000 in fines per game. To me, I'm like, if he doesn't play, that's crazy. But who knows? Maybe he just pouts on the bench, or who knows? So
Yeah, because he essentially is like holding out because I think part of it is he was expecting like this big extension deal from Morey, who from all accounts like did promise it and essentially went back on that deal. But like if money's like really what matters to him here, like I'd be surprised if he's willing to like lose his entire salary this year and next year, because he didn't get that extension. So I think at some point he's going to see the money going out of his bank account, come back and play, whether it's a trade for the Clippers or just come back, play with the Sixers one more year and then dip out. Like I don't know, but we'll see. I think he's gonna get on the court eventually, but it's gonna be a little rocky for your team those first couple of weeks.
it for sure will. So I'm hoping, and you'll see why it'll be even rockier a little bit down the line, listeners. But
Yeah.
seeing the guys going after James Harden, I'm like, James Harden's playing. He is. I mean, Paul George. If he's healthy, he's great.
PG was also a steal, I thought. Like I don't know. Like I think ESPN had him in like the 60s. I was like, this makes no sense. I think like third, fourth round was fair for him. I think it was good value. If he slid to me, I absolutely would have taken him like without any hesitation. I
Yeah,
think that was a steal because he's like an auto like 95 to 100. He's like a risk to miss games, but I don't think he's like any more of a risk to miss games than like some of these other guys who are going higher, like maybe like Levine or Porzingis,
Butler,
Ingram. Like
Kawhi.
Ingram's like a huge risk to miss games. Like there are a bunch of other guys who are at risk of missing games who like might not even be as good as Paul George. So I think that was really good value.
Yeah, I probably in retrospect would have taken actually Paul George, especially because I didn't draft a lot of forwards, which is kind of stressing me out, but I should be okay. Jalen Williams, I think will have an amazing season and maybe be like 80s, mid
I
80s.
I think J Dub was a reach. I wouldn't have had him here.
I don't think so. He was, I don't know.
J Dub and Walker Kessler are both guys who went. I was like, oh my god, like y'all save me.
Walker Kessler more so for me, but I really do think Jalen is a consistent like 80 to 85.
I don't know. I kind of think J Dub will be like 75, 80. I think Kessler will be like a 70 to 75. I think they're both good, but like Kessler, it's like I don't think his style like exactly translates to fantasy. I think his ADP was really based off like categories leagues where they really like weigh in like shooting 75% from the floor and getting blocks and like filling in some of those categories. But as far as points goes, like I think he's probably gonna average like 10 points and like 10 rebounds per game. So don't know if like the points league fantasy is totally there. The blocks will be good. Like I think he's gonna be good enough, but I don't know if he's like fourth round value.
Yeah, I think his ceiling is like 80
Yeah,
points.
and then J Dub I think is good, but like the Thunder have Giddy, SGA, and now Chet is back, and Chet looks amazing. Like I think I'd rather have Chet straight up than J Dub. I think J Dub's gonna be like the fourth best fantasy player on this team, so I don't really know if that's gonna be like an 80.
I don't know. I think he could be the second scoring option on this team. I really do. I'm actually I do love Chet and Giddy, and they are better and higher potential players than J Dub, but I think J Dub, like, I don't know. In the preseason, he looked absolutely incredible. And
he is incredible. He's incredible. Don't get me wrong. Like as a player, like he's absolutely amazing.
All right.
I like him better as like a fifth round pick, maybe sixth.
Yeah. We have a minute left. So I'm gonna shoot you a new link and we'll keep going down.
Deal. This is gonna be like a 4-hour pod. I love it.
Absolutely. BRB.
Do it.
And we're back. James Harden will give me an aneurysm. Moving along. Scroll.
Oh yeah. It's all here. It's all here.
I know, but oh yeah, I'm tripping. Sorry. Who did I pick? Drew Holiday. Yes, sir. Yeah, consistent. I think 80.
Yeah, and I think your team really needs some consistency here after the James Harden pick. So I think you did well with him. I think like his floor is an 80. And I think he still could be like an 80, like 84, 85, like maybe. Like he's still just like an amazing player.
I wish I picked Paul George, man.
Send someone a trade. Talk to the Splash. Apparently he wants to come on the pod, so maybe you can make something happen.
Stone, would you like to trade Paul George for James Harden? Let me know. But yeah, Drew Holiday. I was quite happy with that pick. And just especially because I get to watch him while watching the Celtics, and that's something I haven't gotten to enjoy in a while. So
yeah, the Celtics players are very coveted in this league. Which is why they usually go high. So like fifth round for Drew, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Quick Celtics side note, like KP going like way higher than Jaylen Brown. Didn't really have that. I think I probably would have taken Brown higher, but who knows? I think like when healthy, I think they'll probably both average similar fantasy points, but
agreed.
I think JB will just play like 10, 15 more games than KP.
He was a 95 last year. And I mean, I think KP was a borderline 100, but yeah, for sure the health issues there. And it's more JB's team. So I kind of do anticipate him.
Yeah. Like if anyone's taking a step back scoring wise, it's going to be Porzingis.
But yeah, funny that they both went pretty close there in the third round, right?
Yep, both third round picks.
But moving along,
this is the big one. This is like the Ja Morant, James Harden pair is going to be fascinating to see how this plays out for your team.
Yeah, and what's funny is last year, I won, by the way, last year. I think one of my team was just incredibly consistent, and I went for that. I went for the old money ball tactic with tried and true guys that maybe didn't average a ton of points, but they were gonna play a ton of games. Um, and I mean, I had Giannis, that definitely helped. But this year, I don't know, something in me went for guys that I just felt were established talents, even though one is a drama queen in Harden and one who is suspended 25 games for flashing a gun on Instagram Live. And you know,
Not his first time doing it too. So we'll see what happens again.
I I did not realize, which is a major oversight, that I couldn't put him on my IR. That being said, he's he's a first round pick, worthy player when he's not suspended 25 games. So when he's back in late December, I think it is 10 weeks into the fantasy season, which is a long time. My team, I think, will be stacked, but that's a long ways away. I have to survive in the meantime. I'm a tiny bit worried, but I do think I have some really good talent on the team. And being one of the people in this league that is very good and consistent about checking and streaming, I think a good chance of staying afloat long enough for him to come back. So risky pick, but maybe it's weird, but I'm weirdly more worried about Harden at this point, which maybe is stupid, and it's more because he's in the news cycle. But I just got to wait it out, and once he's back, hopefully he's 120 points a game, or 110, 115, maybe more or so. But
Yeah, no, Jaw's a good pick, and I think when you have like Harden who's gonna miss games, it's like you might as well just double down. Like if you're gonna suck for the first couple of weeks, I kind of like the idea of just being like absolute garbage for like the first half of the season, and then like when you have Harden playing and you have Jaw playing, like you're like 6 players deep potentially of like I'll say like 5 players deep of like guys who could average like 100+ points per game. That's pretty much gonna be like impossible to beat. So you can definitely like essentially cruise the second half of the regular season and just dominate. So he's got to get by in the first half of the season, make sure you put yourself in a position, feel like dig yourself out of the hole. So if he's going to miss like the first 9 weeks essentially of the fantasy season, if you can get by and be like 4-5, even like 3-6, like I think you'll be okay. Get into playoffs and be one of the best teams. But if things don't go as well and this team's like 2-7, like 1-8, which I don't think there's a chance that happens, like then you'd be in trouble. But kind of as you mentioned, like because you check more, because you play the waiver wires, I think that'll kind of like make up for it, and you'll be able to get a leg up on some of like the teams that aren't as good in the league. And naturally, some other teams are gonna like deal with some injury struggles. So I think you'll be able to like grab a couple of games, during like the first half of the season, and then just like blow up for the second half.
hopefully, yeah. But again, crazy oversight that I did not realize he couldn't be placed on IR, which makes sense. Um, but at the end of the day, I accept what I have, and it'll make things, I guess, more interesting. And looking at the players that went after him, I think I'm comfortable taking that risk because
Yeah, there's no huge regrets here. It's like you're looking at like OG's gonna be like a 70, Trey Jones, who's not even the starting point guard anymore. Like I think he was like so overdrafted and
are you
overprojected
sure?
by ESPN.
Who is?
Sohan is starting at point guard, who is a steal. I regret not taking Sohan at the
Whoa.
end of the draft. I was gonna take Sohan and then I took Bridges because I was like, I don't know, like maybe they're gonna drop the charges. And then I did more research and I was like, nope. Yeah, Sohan is starting at point guard. Sohan is gonna be really good this year. I think he's gonna be a steal. But like with that, yeah, I think Trey Jones is gonna fucking suck. And I've always said he's the worst starting point guard in the league. And what do you know? He's not starting. So there you go.
Again, you
Um,
said Tyus Jones.
I would say both. Trey is worse. Trey is worse. I actually like Tyus
Trey
Jones a
is
little bit better.
worse.
And yeah, now he's not starting. So there you go. And then like PJ Washington, maybe a 70. So you kind of like you didn't miss out on a lot of value here. And like the upside of Jaw
Right.
is so huge that I think it's an easy pick. Like even though the guys who I took, who I think are better than like OG Trey, and Washington, like I would have taken Jaw if he was still there. Like you can't pass up on a potential 110 in like the 6th round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's the T. But again, I accept my fate, and I'm excited for him to come back in December.
Yeah, you just gotta survive. You just gotta play the waivers right.
Chris
But it is
Paul
gonna be
next. Sorry.
oh yeah. My fellow was gonna say like it is gonna be huge though, essentially having like 2 blank roster spots. Like not only are they blank, but like I don't think either of the IR eligible. So it's like you can't even kind of like stream in points in those spots. Like they're literally like zeros.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun. I mean, I guess it'll make things more challenging, which I'm
It's
happy
gonna be an
to.
interesting season. You know, maybe you need that challenge coming off the championship.
All right. Then I picked Chris Paul. My cat's being a weirdo. Picked Chris Paul round 7, pick 5. Um, again, sticking with the old players, I guess. Not too mad at this pick. I think he'll be a solid 80, but definitely injury risk. Low key though, like because he might be injured, it kind of having a team that's more likely to be injured might help me in some weird way, as long as they're not like sitting out a ton of games. But if he's missing games here and there, and I can stream people in his place, it might make up for the fact that John Morant is a wasted roster spot. Who knows? Yeah, man, round 7 and 8, Chris Paul and Ben Simmons, man. I don't know what I was on, but
Oh, Simmons, I love. I was totally gonna take Simmons if he fell.
yeah, both guys. I mean, I don't hate the picks. I made them at the end of the day, and some of the guys around them, I definitely am not too hot on either. But it is crazy. I'm like, damn, Chris. There are 2 players I didn't anticipate taking, but I think the value is there in these late rounds, and especially Ben Simmons. As bad as the season might go, like I don't know, he just has to average like 10 points, 6 assists, and a steal and a block, and that's not a bad fantasy player.
Yeah, and we've talked about Simmons. Like we think he's gonna have a good bounce back season. He looks good. He looks healthy. I think even in like the preseason, he was averaging like 8 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. And I think the math, like alone off that, like says he's probably at least gonna be like a 70 in fantasy, which is kind of what you're looking for in these rounds.
Yeah.
But obviously, if he bounces back and is a little bit better, can score a couple more points, maybe gets more assists, like he could be like 75, 80. I think he's an awesome pick. I was totally gonna take him. Like I think he's gonna have an awesome season.
No,
And
that
even if he
makes sense.
doesn't, like I think he's still gonna be good in fantasy.
Makes me feel a bit better. Yeah, you're right. Maybe
And
the
like
score isn't as low as.
yeah, and you got kind of like some of the other guys who like went around him. Like you've got like Josh Hart going in this round, who's like gonna be on waiver wires in a week. Mathern is kind of a question mark. Portis, I don't love. I don't know. So there's not a ton going on these. I thought Pirtle was like an absolute steal. He was supposed to go in like the 60s. Probably his ADP was beefed up a little bit because of categories. Like I do think he's probably more of like a safe like 7th round pick. But I thought he was a good steal. Like I think he'll be like an easy 75. I would have taken him if he fell one
Yeah,
more spot.
70, 75. Yeah, actually, pretty easy 75, especially if Pascal dips.
Yeah,
What do you think of Chris Paul? I mean,
Chris Paul I like. Chris Paul I did consider a little bit actually. At my turn here at 6 and 7. If D'Lo wasn't there, the guys who I were going to consider was going to be Chris Paul, Clarkson, kind of as I mentioned earlier. So I totally would have taken him. I think he'll be like bare minimum, like a 75 for this Warriors team, maybe an 80, depending on how big his role is. Really, the only question mark is health, which is just like why I didn't take him.
you click
Um,
his name.
yeah, but if my options were like a little bit slimmer, like I totally would have. I think he's a good pick here, and he was like I think he was like a 90 last season. Like he was like an
What?
85 or a 90. He was
That
so good when he
it
played.
doesn't show. I think he was like an 85, 86, 87, something like that.
Yeah, like he was incredible, and it's like even if his stats drop off, like which ESPN is projecting, like these are still amazing. Like if he averages like 12 points and 8 assists, he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah.
Still should get good minutes. He's going to have like I don't know. The Warriors rotation is always going to be changing. I think so. I think he's going to have tons of opportunity on this team. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's a good pick here.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm excited. Um, Cool. Moving along, who did I pick here? I picked Jalen Duren. I thought this was a really good pick, but maybe
I agree.
I'm biased. But like, I don't know, second half of last season, he was like a pretty consistent, like, I don't know, maybe 12 to 14 points or something like that, and like 10 plus rebounds easy.
Mhm.
I mean, he averaged 10 and 10 in like, look, wait, go up a bit. How many minutes? In 25 minutes, and then he started playing 30 minutes, and I think he was averaging like 12 and, or it says it down there, 14 and 14. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like that's insane. And like
And he
maybe
plays
their
30 or
concern
more
is that
minutes.
yeah, and they have other centers on this team. Like they have Wiseman, they have Stewart, they have Bagley, but I think it's
Not
foolish
worried
to believe
about it.
that they can exactly. I don't think there's a chance they cut into Duren's minutes. I think the Pistons know that Duren's the best guy on their team. Cade is back, so I think they're going to try a little bit harder to be at least a decent team this season. I think their pick and roll is going to be amazing. Yeah, no, I expect Duren to play like 30 minutes a game. I think he'll probably be like 75 maybe.
I hope so, yeah. And then I picked Obi, kind of a flyer, but he's the starting power forward, and
We
um,
love Obi.
we
The
love
people know.
Obi.
The people know that Obi's like potential is huge here.
And I
You
think
know, like yeah, go off, go off. He's your player.
I was gonna say I can see him averaging like maybe 15 points, maybe a bit less. So a handful of rebounds because like we mentioned, Miles Turner's not gonna grab them all. Um, and so yeah, I see him potentially being viable. It's the 10th round, so if not whatever, but he's never started. Well, he has started before, but never consistently, never got the minute. So I was pretty happy to take a flyer here. And I'm pretty optimistic with Obi.
Yeah, me too. It's like we both love him. We've always thought he was a really good player. They just couldn't get the minutes for him on the Knicks because they obviously had Randall and Barrett, but now he has a starting role in the Pacers team that doesn't really have like a clear like number two or really number three scorer. You know, Turner's kind of that number three guy, but there's definitely gonna be shots available on this team that he can take if he's playing well. So I think he's got big upside. You know, maybe it doesn't work out. If not, you just cut him. This is a late pick, but at this point in the draft, like you're kind of looking for upside. So I love him here.
And then to round it out, I picked Kuminga, put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah,
And
and Draymond's hurt today too, so Kuminga might have a good day.
yeah, I think Draymond might, I don't know what the timetable is, but I think he's gonna miss a handful of games. So um I figured he was a worthy stream, and if he, if the preseason dominance carries over, then I think he has a chance to be fantasy viable. I'm very optimistic about Kuminga, but I think also realistic in the fact that there's a very good chance he doesn't end up being fantasy viable, um, especially after Draymond is back. But 11th round, we see the players going around him. I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely like an 11th round. Like this is where you see, like very rarely does anybody in the 11th round of this draft actually stay on our roster for the entire season. You know, usually there's like one snipe that ends up working out, but usually not. And like you almost kind of want your 11th round pick to be a streamer because you get those additional points each week if you've got like an open roster spot where you can just like bring on guys with a lot of games or just might have the opportunity that week. So this is a perfect pick. He's
I
been good
think
with Draymond gone. You know, maybe you let him go when he's back, maybe you don't. But I think it's a nice pick.
I think you can kind of delve into the owner's psyche by looking at who they pick in the final or the second to last round. I think usually part of their personality is exposed.
Let's not say that. We can ignore. He's already
Except for
cut. Miles
Harry.
Bridges is already off my team. All right, everybody relax.
It was a yeah.
Everyone relax.
I mean, yeah, it was a business decision, and he's a scumbag. Harry said on the record he's a scumbag. Fuck, Twitter's gonna go after your ass. But listen,
We had to do our own internal investigation first. We did it. He's gone now. But you know, you can't always buy into the media immediately. You know, you need to talk to your sources, see what they have to say. Apparently, it's not good. So now he's gone.
I'm not even kidding. I actually didn't even remember that you picked Miles, but seeing, some of the other guys picked, Kevin likes Rui a lot.
Yeah, I feel like Sadiq Bey has been on the turbos a couple of times, so this
Right?
is no
People
surprise.
pick guys that they like. Like Mitchell Robinson is a very
Yeah,
Zach.
Zach, like of course, as always.
Gordon Hayward, classic Sean, straight edge,
Yeah,
plays video games.
yeah. Old Celtics player, Sean loves his he loves to pay homage to the old Boston guys, so I like it. I get it.
Man, Ross got Sohan that late.
So Sohan was a steal. I should have taken him. I was literally going to, and then I took Bridges like an idiot. I think partially because I saw you take Harden and John. I was like, do I need to just like snipe a stash? So then I took Bridges and I was like, I don't need this. I don't need this on my team. Yeah, I should take Sohan. He's starting now. No one knew. I knew. I should have taken him. Clearly Ross also knew this. So shout out Ross for taking him.
Yeah, Ross actually has one of my favorite teams. He got screwed with
Yeah,
injuries last year, but I think he's a very slept on fantasy owner, and he takes
yeah.
it seriously, and he tends to have very deep rosters.
Yeah. To be fair though, he does also love his injury prone guys, and like this year is like
Yeah,
no no exception,
no
taking
exception.
Durant and Kawhi. It's like the team always looks really good, and then usually gets killed by injuries, and that's kind of like the risk you run. But if it ever just like clicks and the team doesn't get hurt, like it's going to be amazing.
Should we quickly just run through every roster and give just like an immediate? I did put down grades for every team, stealing Cena swag, but I mean, it was just like a look, and I was just like, I'm feeling this, or
Yeah, I did like a mini power rankings and then deleted it, so I kind of forgot where my rankings were. But should we just click on this like by team thing and kind of get like
oh,
the snap of
perfect.
everybody?
So,
Um,
and it's an
Sprinters are first.
Zach. I thought did pretty well. I like his team.
I think
Uh,
so too.
SGA and Julius Randle.
I really wanted Randall. That was a good pick. I think SJ slid a spot. I think he should have gone over Halliburton, but like take your pick there. Great
Agreed.
picks though.
Levine had an incredible second half of the season, a bit injury. Wrist,
Levine also like sneaky played like 72 games last season and was like
but yeah,
super healthy.
super healthy last year. But that was kind of an exception
Could
to
could be
the
an anomaly. Yeah.
anomaly. Butler tends to be a bit injury prone, but again, last year was fairly healthy. Middleton, meh. I mean, I think he'll be
Yeah,
better than
man.
last year.
But if he kind of gets back to where he was though, he'll be like an 85, which is really good. But yeah, he definitely had his injury struggles. He's also going from essentially being like the second scorer on the team to the third now behind Lillard. So his points could come down a little bit, but I think he'll be like an
Yeah. And then
yeah,
the rest of his team I think are pretty solid.
yeah,
Marcus
Claxton
Smart could
solid.
an 80.
Yeah, Marcus Smart is probably gonna ball out like the first half of the season when Jaw's gone. So he's gonna give him like a big boost at first. Definitely taper off when Jaw comes back, but it's still gonna be good. You had Jabari last year. He was pretty good. Looked amazing in the preseason. So I think he's probably gonna be like a 75 this year. I like Jabari a lot.
Rob could find 30 minutes. If that happens, that'll be a great pick. But he might just not have the games played, or maybe we'll just kind of stick to like
Yeah.
less than
It
25 minutes.
it might be harder like his injury history, playing behind Aiden, and then also playing on a Blazers team that probably isn't gonna be very good. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of are cautious with his minutes.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to get the big minutes. I don't know how valuable he's gonna be in fantasy this year, but it's a late pick, so I think it's a good flyer.
Kyle Anderson was great towards the end of last year, but I think Mike Conley might have. There was something that
And
cost
Cat was
Kyle
out.
Yeah,
Everybody
Cat.
was out. It was like McDaniel was hurt, Cat was hurt, Conley was hurt. A lot of minutes were opened up for Kyle Anderson at the end of last season. Don't think they'll be there from this season. I don't think he's going to be rosterable to start the year, but he's
Agreed.
a late round pick, so who knows?
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson may, but
Yeah, we can kind of ignore like 10 and 11 unless they're like really worthy shout outs.
agreed.
But I like the sprinters. I think I had them in like the top, like, I think I had them like the top 6 teams or so.
Yeah, I think I gave him one of the best grades, honestly. Ross
Yeah.
and Zach are the teams I liked the most. I love your team a lot as well. Sean's team immediately
Sean's team.
and solid, not great.
Agreed.
but
Agreed.
solid.
I think solid's a good stamp. I think he got one of the best steals in the draft, taking Tyler Hero in the 6th round. I think
Yeah.
he's always like perpetually underrated in fantasy, and he kind of just slides because he's low on ESPN's rankings. I was potentially going to take him like the 4th or 5th at that turn if other guys weren't there, but I think he's going to be like as good as like McCollum and like Jalen Green I was bullish on, but I think Hero is like an easy 85 every season.
Yeah.
With potential to even creep up to like a 90 this year, just because
Yeah.
they lost some guys and didn't replace them. So I think Hero is such a steal. Like I couldn't believe he fell so much. I thought he was such an easy 5th round grab. I thought that was a steal. I don't know if Beal's gonna be great. I think Beal will be like a 75, 80 when he plays. Don't know
I
if he's
hate
gonna
to
play
say
that
it,
much.
I thought Sangoon was picked a little bit early as well.
Same. I love Şengün. I was like debatably gonna take him at my turn, but like Sean was picking at like the start of the 5th round. I was picking at the end, so it's like a 12 pick gap. And honestly, I would have taken Kuzma and McCollum over him, so I probably wouldn't even have taken him there.
Yeah.
I love him though, but like he was like an 80 last season. I think he'll play more with Ime, and I think he'll probably get up to like an 85 maybe. But the Rockets did add a lot of players. Ime loves defense. Şengün's defense is a little questionable at times, so like maybe the minutes will fluctuate. So I think it's a little risky because I think there could be a world where Ime just favors Jabari, and like maybe Jabari could even like take his job.
But it can't be worse than last year. And I think he'll average close to the 30 minutes that he definitely deserves. But there's
I
definitely
agree.
whatever though. We love Sangoon and
Yeah. So we won't fault it. He's a podcast listener, so we respect you making that move on our behalf. We love Şengün. I think he'll still be like an 85, but there are just like some question marks still around him, so it feels early to take like a question mark player.
Yeah. But the top 3 look really good.
Yeah, Mikhail I probably would have taken if he fell to me. At 14, like
the last pick, bro. That's crazy. Right?
who had the last pick? Oh yeah, Sean. Yeah, he did the last pick.
14 and 15.
I think the lottery was unkind to him.
I think Mikhail is a bit over.
Mikhail's a games played guy. Like I think he's gonna be like a 95 in fantasy. So like taking him 14, like give me Lillard there. Siakam I love there. I think Siakam's an easy 105, like a 105. So I think Siakam's a good pick there. But I don't know. Mikhail's like his total points are gonna be good, but I don't know if like the games played is gonna be enough to like really carry you in the playoffs.
And I think personally, in those last few rounds, no steals. Again, last few rounds, who cares? Markelle Fultz, you kind of made a funny comment. I think he could be viable.
I think he's gonna be viable. I think he's gonna be like a 65, 70. There were just like some other guards that he took Fultz over that I really liked, which I actually don't mind running through because I definitely had them in mind when we were drafting. So yeah, Fultz was taken like top of the 8th round. I also really liked Wendell Carter Jr. There are tons of guys overall who I would have taken over him, but he said he really wanted a guard, so I'm like, okay. But like Ivy I really liked. Maybe would have taken him sooner. I think Simmons was kind of like the big one I was eyeballing. I was like, you really need like a guard. Like, take the gamble on Simmons. He's gonna be better than Fultz.
What I love
He's
Simmons,
he also played forward.
Yeah, exactly. He's a guard forward.
Yeah, he's got the eligibility. He's got
he can play
huge
every single
upside.
position in our fantasy league, literally.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's pretty much it. I think Shaden Sharp would have also considered. I don't know. There were a couple guys that kind of stood out to me. I think Simmons is really like the big one though that I would have loved to have grabbed that at that spot. But I think Fultz will still be good. I don't think Fultz is like a cut by any means. I don't think he's like unrosterable. I think he's gonna be good.
Yeah. All right, moving or back to
by team. There we go. Fultz, yeah, Wood.
I don't think it's gonna hit.
It's also a late pick though. I think it'll be like
I
think he'll be rosterable, but I think he'll be like a fringe like 65, 66 kind of guy.
Maybe we should see how he's doing right now. Funny moment from last podcast, we were talking about the Hawks, and I said something about Johnson, and I was like, wait, that guy doesn't exist. Jalen Johnson is a player and a forward on the Hawks.
Okay. Never heard of him.
I'm thinking of DeAndre Hunter. No, there is Jalen Johnson. They have 3 young forwards.
Is Jalen Johnson a rookie, or has he played before?
I believe he was a rookie last year, and I think he shows a bit of promise as well. But did he already cut Christian Wood? Oh no, Christian Wood.
That'd be insane. No, I don't
10
think so.
fantasy points at the half.
Quick scoreboard check. Let's see. Jokic 81 already. D'Lo 34 already. How far into this game are we? I don't have to go fancy guys. I'm about to hit y'all an ad real quick. Sorry.
I could have told you. It's 8 seconds until the half.
Okay. I'm not impressed with 34 then. But hey, 38 now. 38 now. Hey, if he ends with 75, I'll take it. Murray doing good. Gordon doing good.
Gordon doing a little too good. What the fucking shit?
Oh, good. Christian Wood's doing nothing. Let's go. He's got 10 points at halftime. Fuck this guy. Yeah, big sucked.
Porter
MPJ
Jr.,
doing good. I love Porter Jr. I considered picking him, but honestly, like he kind of busted for me last season. So I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna run that back, but I do love him as a player. Anyway, okay, let's get back to our draft recap. So that was Sean's team. We think Sean's team's okay, but maybe could have been like a little bit better.
Love you,
Devils,
Sean.
Devils kind of a weird one. I love you too, Cena, but like I don't know if I love this team. Sorry to say.
Interesting.
I think top three picks are awesome. Like I can't really fault you with any of these. Probably would have taken Luca over Tatum, but like Tatum's amazing. Like I'm not gonna get on you for it.
Yeah.
Banchero, I wanted, so good pick. I would have taken Banchero. DeJounte, I mentioned before, I strongly considered him super consistent, like 95, 96. Awesome pick. But like Kessler and Washington, I'm kind of like meh on. Like especially Kessler, I think he probably went too early. So that could hurt taking someone in the fourth round who might just be like a 75, but we'll see. But I like Scoot. Scoot has got upside. I considered him. So this could work out if Scoot hits big. And I feel like even when I don't like your draft, Cena, that somehow your team ends up still being really good. So maybe I shouldn't talk shit.
I feel that way as well. But he's a very consistent owner. And that top three is certainly not bad. So I do expect a very good season out of Cena. And big ups for for taking the risk on Scoot. I think that will pay off. Walker Kessler and PJ Washington, I'm just like, why, my guy, why? But
yeah, I don't know.
Jacob,
Yeah,
Hurd was a nice
Washington will be
save.
like, yeah, Washington's like a 65, like best case scenario, I think.
I thought the Thompson twins were both nice flyers for, I forget who got Asar, but who knows if they average like 12 points, 6 rebounds, and like 5 assists and a steal and a block, like that's fantasy viable, and they could certainly average more.
Yeah, I'm a lot more bullish on Asar this year. I really wanted Asar to fall to me with one of my last picks. I think Amen is going to be good, but he's going to be coming off the bench for the Rockets. But
Well, you
Asar has
said
apparently been really good for the Pistons. Asar is starting over Ivy. Last
they
time I
both
checked the
have.
depth chart.
You said
So,
Amanda could be rookie of the year the other podcast.
well, now I'm saying it's going to be Asar because Asar is starting, which is insane.
I'm team
Because
Asar.
Jade, I am too now. He's starting. That's insane. He's starting over Ivy, who was really good last season.
Ivy's mid.
Ivy's good, but he is like, maybe sixth man is
Ivy
like the
is
best role
mid.
for him.
Potential
Wrong.
there.
Yeah, agreed. Potential's amazing. He's
not
super
there, though.
fast. Great slasher.
He had so much opportunity last year and was like kind of mad.
Oh yeah. When Cade went down like in like week 2 of last season, I was like, my team's gonna win it all. Because
Ivy.
Ivy is gonna like absolutely ball out. Like he's gonna have the keys to the offense. And he literally, like, if he wanted to, he could have been like a 90 or 100, essentially his rookie year. And he was like a 65, 70, essentially getting all the touches at the point guard position. So that was a little bit of a red flag. I thought he should have been way better, but I still think he's a good prospect, and I still like Ivy. But I don't know. Asar starting was huge. I think Asar is gonna be awesome.
I'm team Asar over team Amen.
I'm with you on that now.
The name is cooler, A. And B.
He was also.
I like the aspect.
And he was also just better on the Ignite. Like on the Ignite, like he was the one who was like MVP of the season, MVP of the finals.
Interesting.
Better jump shot.
Your shooter.
Like
yeah.
he was the better player for the G League Ignite, but I think the Rockets were tantalized by. I think Amen's like shiftiness is like maybe like, I think he's like a step faster, but they're both like freak athletes. I just don't think it matters.
I'm convinced that it might have been a mistake. They were just like, I think Amen is the.
They flipped a coin. They're so similar, and I think Amen is also insane. I literally think both are like future all stars. I think they're both amazing.
Yeah, but Cena's team.
I think Conley was a good pick over here. I was gonna take Conley if he slips like these last 2 rounds because he's like a 70. So if you get like a near guaranteed 70 in the last 2 rounds, like that's really good. So I like that pick. That's gonna help with the depth. Barnes kind of sucks. Like that's fine. That's the last round.
Yeah, some nice last round picks. And again, I mean the first 3 awesome, Scoot awesome. So
I feel like the draft felt deeper this year for some reason than last year. Because when I was picking like the 2-3 turn and like the 4-5 turn, I remember like really having to scramble last year and be like, I guess I need to like pick guys who might be like a 90 at that turn. And like the 4-5 turn, like I knew I loved Giddy, but like when I had to take Şengün, I was like, I don't know about this pick. But like this year, it's like I feel like I was just getting like really solid guys who I wanted. So, and even like the late rounds too. So I don't know, something about it. Maybe just the league is scoring more.
Saints team?
Seems to seem okay. Hate to say it, but I think probably bottom half, but like maybe Tatum and his management is enough to carry him. Shane's team, risky. I love that Shane wrote the column about like risky picks and like put himself as like the first one on there. It's like, all right. Write an article about yourself. Just own it. I think
have to look at
I
that.
yeah, I think Zion was like I think Zion's like a fine pick. Like I think third round was kind of where he was supposed to go. I don't really know if that was a reach. I think that was appropriate. He's a gamble though for sure because the game's played, but the upside is huge. So I think the team will probably hinge on that. Like,
Reach,
does Zion play? Does he not?
reach meaning you picked him maybe a bit too early.
That's what Shane said. Shane said he was a reach, but I think third round, like healthy Zion, like this was like as low as he was gonna go.
Was it last year that Shane also had Kyrie and Zion and it bit him in the ass, or was it the year before that? He's
I
doubling
think
down.
I think last season he had both and he's doubling down, which I like. I liked both of these guys.
Respect.
I was gonna take Kyrie if he fell to me. I'm in on Kyrie this year. I think it's a good pick. He's got no reason not to play. He was like an easy 105, 110 last season. It's like I love it. Zion's also 110 if he plays, riskier, but I think a fine pick in the third round. J Dub, I kind of mentioned I don't love. I think there was better players available.
I love. I don't. I really like. I think maybe a tad early, but I think he's going to be consistent 80s. I really do. I really do. I
Yeah.
think his game is
Okay.
very fantasy. I can't think of the word. Fantasy appropriate? No, fantasy. Whatever.
Fantasy forward.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Fantasy forward. It's a good team.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like Aiden is like a good upside pick. He was definitely like under projected by ESPN. Like if you look at him, I think they're projecting like, yeah, they're projecting him to average 13 points per game after averaging 18 a game last season. Like he's probably going to average 18 again, if not more. Like he's going to get more touches on
True.
this team.
That is true.
I think he'll probably be like a 20 and 10 guy. Like if you don't remember, like 2 seasons ago, he was like a third round pick. I think he's probably gonna be like an 80 or 85. I think this is a good pick. I think it's a pretty easy pick as well.
Third round pick by Damian.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, I think I took him in the third round like a couple of seasons ago also. So like I was also bullish on him at one point. But then I also like immediately traded him for Siakam, I think. But like that's not here or there. Trey Jones,
That sucks.
don't like it. Don't like it, yeah.
I don't hate it.
He was like a 65 last year as the starter, and now he's on the bench and they have Wembanyama. Like he's not gonna be good.
Touche. But not a super deep team, and I think he'll still get some opportunity. I think he has a lot of potential. Well, I immediately wish I didn't say that, but I don't know. I think he could get better. Well, he's definitely younger than his brother, so he's got to be like 23, 24. Trey Jones age. Oh, come on. He's 23. Woo! I don't
When was
hate
he
it.
drafted? He's a second round pick. He's like an end of second round pick. He's just like I just don't think he's like a
Okay.
I just don't think he's a great prospect.
John Collins, I
Um,
like a lot. I think he's going to find a
Yeah.
role. And
Yeah, I think he'd be back up to being like a 75, 80. I think he's a fine pick. I considered him as well around here.
Benny's going to start. I think he could be like a 70. There's
Yeah,
some
I like
upside
it.
there. Gafford, okay. Gary Trent.
Yeah, Gafford kind of had his chance last year, and KP wasn't starting. He wasn't that good. Not a big Gafford guy. We're kind of at the end of the draft anyway, so no harm.
I like Shane's team. I don't love it, but I'd say I really like it. I think he did a good job. I'd give it a B plus. Maybe Sean and Cena more like B's, B minuses. Zach, I think a B plus, A minus.
Yeah,
Shane did a
I
good
think
job.
like I think I'd give like so far if I go through, I would say fuck it, I'm gonna give Zach an A. I think this is a really good draft. A. I think I agree with like the B minuses for these two. I agree like B plus for turbos. I'll say B plus. I like this draft. I'm gonna say B actually because I hate Trey Jones. But it's totally gonna hinge on like Kyrie and Zion. If they're good this season, then this team's probably more like an A minus team. But if one of them misses time, then I think this team will have some more issues. But I think they'll be healthy this season. I like them both. So yeah, I agree. I like this team.
It's a crazy three-headed monster.
It is. It's
all
gonna be like
healthy.
it's gonna be the best trio in the league essentially if they're healthy.
Yeah. But yeah, big what if because they're all kind of injury prone, especially Giannis, the knee surgery. All right, I
Yeah.
think we have to freaking part 3 it, but there's no episode I'd rather just drone on about.
Oh, this is the best. This is for us. This is for nobody else. I just love talking fantasy.
Exactly. And I think I'll be able to catch the second half. So I am happy as I don't know what the expression is, but I'm happy. So
Yeah,
let me send you
fucking
one
hard.
last link. Be right back. Portland Loggers. We will react to your team.
Yep, let's do it. Just checking the scores real quick. Back to the draft. We're going on to the Loggers. We're almost about halfway through the teams. I'm gonna give this team like a C plus already for taking LeBron in the first round. This dude's just not gonna play. He's gonna play like 40 games. He'll be like a 120 when he does play, but I just don't think he's gonna play that much. So I don't know. That's kind of it's not a start I love.
I would have picked Lillard over him, but
I agree. I think there's a lot of people I probably would have taken over LeBron. Like I think I had LeBron and like I think I had him around like 40. Cause who'd you rather have this year? Like LeBron or Jaylen Brown, like straight up.
that's tough.
I
don't know.
know, which like it shouldn't be if you're taking him in the first round.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But like you said, LeBron, when he plays, is like a 115, 120. So that's hard to argue with that, but you kind of expect him to play less than 60 games. So
Yeah, exactly. Fox I had last year. Fox was really good. Maybe he was taking like a little bit too early though, because like I really liked Fox, but I would have been considering him in like the third round.
right.
Because like for example, like he was taking over like let's see, I think Randall is gonna be better. I think Lillard, like come on, just take Lillard. Why does no one want Lillard?
Why? Yeah.
I would have taken Lillard. I would have taken Kyrie, Wemby, Banchero. So like Fox is good, but I think there was more value on the board that could have been taken.
I'd take Fox over Kyrie personally, but
Yeah, to each their own. To each their own.
but
We'll
Fox
need
is
to agree on
also
Lillard.
has not been the most consistent with games played throughout his career. I think he had a
Yeah,
particularly healthy season last year, but I think it
yeah.
usually comes out of
He was healthy last season, but he hurt me in the playoffs a little bit. He missed a lot of games in the playoffs.
yeah. Before that, he had 3 straight seasons of like 60 games and then 50 games. So
Yeah, but the Kings are an ascending team. He's an ascending player. He's had his first All-Star season, so maybe there is room for him to even do better than last season. So let's see, 25, 4, and 6 last season. Tough to see him do like, hey, he'll probably do that again. I don't think he's gonna score more than 25 a game, but still a good player. Fine to have. KP is really good, but there's always health question marks with him. It's like, what kind of C?
but
Bane, I love. Bane's an awesome pick.
I think
Um,
Andy did really well in those middle rounds for sure.
Yeah, I think he definitely like made up for it, like pretty much in like rounds 4 through 9. I like really like
Yeah.
because Bane is going to be pretty much like an 100 plus with Ja out, so he's going to be amazing the first half of the season. When Ja comes back, he's still at least gonna be like an 85, 90. And maybe he's like established himself more in the team at that point. He could be like a 90. So Bane's an awesome pick. Vassell is definitely an ascending player, so I think he'll be pretty good. Gobert, good value. I think he's gonna be like an 80, 85. I think a lot of people had him circled on their draft. Felt like
Yeah.
he was underprojected a little bit, so I love that. I already mentioned I was really considering Clarkson in my own draft. I think he's gonna be great. I feel like as a prospect, Paul doesn't. And Mark Williams I had last year, and he was really good. And I
Yeah.
kind of expect him to get 30 minutes per game. I think he'll probably be similar to Duran. I think he'll probably be like a pretty easy 75. Just he'll average like 14, 12, 2 blocks a game.
Malik Beasley ass.
Yeah, but that's fine. I'll cut him. Sam Royce O'Neal also trash, but
The
that's
Bucks
fine.
do need his shooting, so who knows?
Yeah, I think I'm still leaning towards like giving this team like a B minus, just because of like LeBron and some like the injury risk on this team. But I really like the
Yeah.
late picks. So I think this team does have potential. And if LeBron does well and one of these kind of like mid round guys ends up doing better than expected, like if this is like Vassell season or Ivy season, um, I think there's room for one of these guys to pop off. And if they do, like this team could still be really good.
Agreed. And yeah, fantasy is sometimes it's about the best players on your team. Obviously he has a deep team, which is great, but you want your top 3 players to be really good, and maybe that's this team's weakness. But
Yeah, that is usually the driving force. As long as you have like 3 guys who are amazing, like you can almost like forget about the rest of the roster and make do with free agency. So that's always kind of like the easiest way to rank. And yeah, I kind of agree that the top 3 here might be a little lackluster compared to some others.
Damien's team, Shades of the Frogs with DeMar and Maxi.
Yep, good team. I think the bottom half of the draft, I think there's some throwaways in here,
I
but
don't like
but I,
this team.
yeah, I don't. It I think again we kind of come back to like how are the top players on this team, and it's like I just don't think like they have the same ceiling as some other guys. Because like the thing about like Vuj and DeMar that I like is like they're like really consistent. So you are getting like a good like third round pick in these guys. If you want someone who's gonna get you just like 90 or 95, gonna play probably 70 plus games easily, but I don't think they're good enough to really like get you into that next tier. You know, you kind of need like one other guy who's gonna score 100 plus. And I just like it doesn't look like the team has it. I don't even know if Edwards is gonna be 100 plus.
I think he will,
Uh,
kind of on that.
but like fringe though.
Yeah. I think he
So
could
yeah,
be 5.
yeah, I don't have the top tier talents there. But I do really like Maxi. I think Maxi's gonna be like incredible at the start of the season without Harden. Like he'll probably be like a 90 to 100 for the first
Yeah.
couple of weeks, which is nice, and potentially the whole
Great.
season if they do trade Harden.
Pray that he gets traded because Maxi has crazy potential. I really think so. Dinwiddie's a guard on a team that lacks guards and handlers, so he could be better than expected.
Yeah, part of me also thinks he could be worse than expected though,
Yeah.
because I'm bullish on Ben Simmons. Because they are like projecting a lot of assists from Dinwiddie. Kind of expecting him to be that primary ball handler, but I could see Simmons, you know, taking some of those touches, taking some of those assists. But I think he'll still be like an 80. I think it's still like a good 5th round pick. Wiggins is really good, usually underrated, so I like it.
Kind of
But like,
disagree.
I think he's
Wiggins
like
at his best is like a 70 flat.
I think he's like a 75. I think he should be a 75. And
Mm,
for the 6th round, I think that's fine. I would have considered him in my spots. I wouldn't have like taken him over the guys I did take.
I
But
think he's worse than you think, but I don't know.
I don't know. I think he's good. So we'll see. I don't hate the pick, but the later picks I definitely do hate. Like Lopez is like old now. Don't think he's gonna be great. He might still be like a 65, 70, but I don't think he returns like a 7th round value. Miller hasn't looked great.
Like Wiggins, not to go back to Wiggins, but to go back to Wiggins in 2022, like last year, he didn't play many games. I forget what he averaged, but the year before, he averaged 69.5 points in 73 games played.
Yeah.
Because I
We'll
value
have to
scoring as
see.
much.
Yeah, I think the talent's there though, and like the Warriors team is getting older, and I still just remember how good he was in that Celtics finals run. I think there is room for him to become a player who does get like more rebounds, couple more points per game, especially if like someone on the Warriors gets hurt, which I think is kind of inevitable. Like it
Fair
feels
enough.
like somebody between like Curry, Clay, and Paul is going to go down for the season. So like we'll see who it is, or at least miss like
Oh
big chunks
God.
of the season.
Down for this.
Um, sorry, yeah, we'll miss games, and I think Wiggins will kind of like step up then. So I think the role will be there for him. I like him in the 6th round.
Fair enough.
But yeah, the rest of the guys I think are forgettable. I think the rest of these guys like could end up on waivers.
Miller could pop off, but he's not one of the rookies I'm super high on, and
Yeah,
rookie, it's tough to be great.
yeah. I'm gonna give this team a C.
I would also give it a C.
Yeah, which also because I don't want to be rude to anybody. Like I'm probably not gonna go lower than C. So like keep that in mind.
Yeah, and like McConnell, Levert, Herb Jones.
Yeah,
Take some
all
flyers.
waivers. Yeah,
Against
yeah.
them.
They're waivers with like no upside. Also, it's like best case scenario. These guys are like 60s.
Might have been auto drafted. I forget.
I don't think so. I think it was on the whole time. Anyway, C onto the Brewers, who I think Cena had last in his rankings. I kind of like this team. I think it's actually pretty good. I think like the top 6 picks were like absolutely nailed. Like I think Trae Young's like a 105, 110. I think Davis is also a 110, proved he can play games last season. Y'all know I love Garland. I took him too early last year, but I think at 39, like he's an easy 90. He's a great player. Barnes in the 4th round, I think he's got potential to be like an 85, 90. He's kind of the keys to the castle on the Raptors.
We'll see.
I'm bullish. I would have taken him if he fell to me. Chet, I think Chet can be like a 75, 80, but he's got potential, which I love. There's a lot of high potential players on this team. So I like the Chet flyer. Westbrook was really good last year on the Clippers for fantasy and kind of in real life. Like I think he's gonna be like an 85 again. Really my only worry about, yeah, I think so. He was last year for them.
Was he?
Yeah, he was just straight up really good in fantasy last year still. So I think he's going to be awesome. My only concern with Westbrook is like, do they trade Harden to the Clippers? Because all of a sudden, if Harden goes there, you're like, that's going to hurt his value a lot. But as of now, like I think Westbrook is going to be really good for them.
Yeah, true. Fuck. He was an 84 last year.
Yeah, so I kind of love all these picks. Valanciunas, I'm not as hot on now that the Pelicans are healthier, but I think he's gonna be viable. I think it's at least like a 70. The rest of these guys I think are more forgettable, except for Asar, who I mentioned I love. I think he's gonna be incredible. He's starting for the Pistons. He's awesome. That's a great pick.
I think Schroeder could
Um,
be interesting. I hate to say it.
Schroeder is starting, so yeah, could be. He's
He
kind of a
is
late round
70.
flyer anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like Bruce Brown, last round pick, it's fine. Derek White, he's gonna start. He'll probably be like a 65, like maybe a little bit early to draft someone who might have like a ceiling as like a 70, but maybe not. I think it's fine. I like this team. I give this team like a B plus. I think it's really good.
I don't think Derek White is super fantasy viable, so I think
Me neither,
65. But yeah, when I first looked, you've kind of talked me through it, and I think it's a solid team. So
yeah, and I think like I don't know. I think it's deep, and I think the top three is definitely there. Like there's definitely like a two-headed monster from Trey and Davis, and I think Garland will become like good enough as a third guy.
for sure, yeah.
Dragons. Dragons. I like, but like off the initial look, it's like I don't know if it's gonna be like I don't know if like the top three guys are good enough, but I think the depth is there. So like
Yeah.
Mitchell was awesome last year, but like first round pick, like I don't know.
13th.
Brunson, yeah, that's true. Definitely like a late first round pick, but there probably still could have been some other guys who could return more value. But he's like in 100, I would say, maybe like 105. Brunson was really good last year, but I think I'd put him in the same category as some of those like consistent 95s. Like I kind of put him in like the same realm as like DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, who are kind of going in like the third round. And then Giddy I also really like, but I don't know if he was like a third round pick. I think Giddy will be like an 85, 90 this year for sure. He was last year, but still, like I don't know. It's tough because I like these players. Like I love Josh Giddy, I love Evan Mobley. But I don't know. There might have just been more value on the board for this team.
Yeah, I love a lot of these players, but
Bronze, Simons, clearly a podcast listener. These are all podcast guys.
I thought Anthony was a steal.
Agreed. Agreed.
But
I think it'll be Simons will probably be the top scorer for Portland this season. I think it'll probably be like an 80, 85. So great value there.
Wendell Carter Jr., if he stays healthy, is a steal there.
Agreed.
I like Franz where he went. Mobley maybe a bit early. He's not great in fantasy, but who knows? Maybe
I think he's got room to grow. And you kind of click into Mobley. Like he was really good at the end of last
I
season.
think just
Like
the
he's getting
first
like
three picks.
like
Oh, wow.
like he's getting like 90 every night.
Jared
So
Allen was hurt for a lot of that, I think, but who knows?
that is probably true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think his first two picks were just like a tad early on those guys, maybe even Giddy a tad early, but solid team.
I agree. I love the guys. I'm still gonna give like a B minus because I'm not sure about like the top end talent, but I still like it.
All right.
Barons. This team kind of fucks like what the Barons have been for like the last couple of seasons.
Well, PMAX showed up to the draft, and I think he's ready for a redemption season.
Yeah.
And we're so happy for him, and he's got a brilliant mind. So I hope he's able to stay consistent. But he didn't put Jarrett Allen on his IR, who was IR eligible. So that's an
Come on,
orange
PMAX.
flag. But
Get
I like
on
this
that.
draft.
Me too. It's like I think Curry's had some injury issues, but I mean, if he plays like he's a 110, and it's like I think he was even like a 120 at the start of last season before getting hurt. So amazing player. Can't get mad at anybody for taking Curry, especially at the end of the first round.
He caps
kinda
out
think
hard at like
Ye-
55 games though, or 60, because
Probably.
they if they make
Right.
they will probably make the playoffs, and they're very careful with Curry and how much they play him.
Yeah, they do like to manage their guys, but I still like Curry. I think it's a good grab. And like what I really like is like LaMelo Ball in the second round. I think I had LaMelo Ball as like a top 6 player in fantasy. Like I would have considered Ball over like SGA and Halliburton. He's insane when he plays, and like I kind of mentioned it when we were talking about like our guys under like 23 video, but like his stats last season when he played were like 23 points per game, 8.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds. Like he just like stuffs the stat sheet. He's like the perfect fantasy player. I think he's like a total first round pick. I think it's insane he slid to the second round. I thought that was like a total steal. So I think that's huge. I think there's like a really good like two-headed monster at these guard positions.
Fair enough, yeah. Jaren Jackson Jr. now with Steven Adams hurt. Ja not there. I think he'll be a beast first half of the season, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's not injured at the start of last season like he was, so I think he'll be really good. I think he was like an 85 last year, but probably has potential to be a 90. So I like it, especially like picking at like the way end of the third round. Maybe there was better value, but I think he's still gonna be really good to where it's gonna be marginal. Ingram I've mentioned I really like. It's like the issue is like, is he gonna play? Is he not gonna play? But when he does play, he's like a guaranteed 95.
Yeah.
So I feel like he kind of goes with that like medley of other players taken in the fourth round, like Kawhi and Paul George. Like he's gonna be insane when he plays. We'll just kind of have to see how much he plays, but I like the gamble for this team.
Green Allen, yeah, where he took them, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, I fucking love Green. I think Green is gonna be so good this year. I think he's gonna be like an 85 in fantasy.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
It's gonna happen.
I see him more like 75 to 80, but we'll see. And we'll see. Jarrett Allen can't be mad at it. Cam Johnson can't be mad at it. Aaron Gordon balling out in the first half. Fuck my
Awesome
life.
pick. Awesome pick. He's so good. And like ESPN was projecting a little bit of regression because he was so good last year, but it looks like he's just picking up right where he left off. That's probably going to be a steal.
I was sleeping on Gordon, I think. I mean, I think he's like pretty average in overall, but
I love him in real life
last year
too.
than expected.
I think he's phenomenal. I think he's such a good gadget guy for this Nuggets team.
I mean, as a role player for like the team in real life, he's amazing. But fantasy wise, is he that great?
Like he kind of does like a lot of like I don't know. He like let's see. I don't know. I guess his game start is not giving us like the last season stats, but it says here like 16 points, almost 7 rebounds, 3 assists, about a steal on the block. Like he kind of just gets some of everything, which is huge. And he still is like a good scorer. Like he has the ability to go off on like a given night and drop like 25.
I think he averages sub 70, I imagine, last year and the
I think he averaged like 75 last year.
no way.
I'm telling you. I can even try to do a quick check here. Let's see. Gordon. He was a 74.8 last season.
Are you kidding?
Dude, he was really good last season. Yeah.
I was sleeping so hard. Wow.
Yeah. So that was a really good pick. Let's see. Let's get back to this team. Barons. Yeah, so that was a good pick. And then like I feel like there's some good upside picks here at the end. Like I don't think Nas Reed will be anything. I think it's probably a cut, but like Oubre with Philadelphia now, like he's always been a high scorer. Harden's gonna be gone, so like maybe they'll make room for him in the offense.
Maybe.
Colin Sexton, like also probably not, but like maybe. They don't have a whole lot going on at the guard position other than Clarkson. So it's like they feel like Flyers, they feel like they could be cut in a week, but they could also like find decent roles on their team. So I don't hate it. I think they're upside picks.
I don't think they're huge upside picks, but whatever. I think PMAC, if you stream when you need to stream and you set your lineups in advance, your team has a lot of potential. And I hope you can realize that potential because you drafted very well. But that's half the battle, if not way less than half the battle. So
yeah, it's all about checking. But like as far as like a draft goes, like I give this a B plus, and I think if he checks and does the job, like this team could easily find its way in the playoffs.
agreed. Hoping I can beat him this week though.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting there. San Diego.
Luka at 4, like fucking hell.
Yeah. Feels like Stone gets lucky.
So lucky.
Lucky
Fuck
guy.
this guy. Yeah, Luka at 4, I really like. Wembanyama, we kind of voiced that we may have concerns over how many games he plays, but I love the upside. I think he's phenomenal. And like he's also a guy who I can't really even see going in the second round next season. Like I feel like he has to be a first round pick next season. Just because he's so talented and can do so much on the court. So weirdly, I feel like this is still going to end up being value at the end of the season.
Agreed.
So I love that pick. Poole, I thought was over projected. Like I think ESPN has him averaging like 30 points per game. Yeah, they're projecting him to average 29 points per game. Maybe I don't think so. I think he's going to prove to be a little bit of a streaky scorer. So I don't know if the value is totally there with this pick, but he's going to have the opportunity. So I guess we'll see.
I still like him where at 32. Like that's fine, I think.
I think so too. I think third round value probably is fine. But I think ESPN had him projected to be like a 97, 100. I think he's probably more like a 90, 93. But still gonna be good. I already mentioned I really like the Paul George pick. I would have taken him. I think this is awesome value in the fourth.
And then he
Austin Reeves, I
drops the
hate
ball.
here. Yeah, I don't think Reeves is gonna be very viable at all. I view him as kind of like a 75,
I don't think he had a good pick after.
70. And then like OG misses a lot of games. I was like a 72 last year. Don't think he's gonna be great. Clay misses a lot of games. I think Hart will probably be dropped soon. Sharp I like, but he's not starting. And I think the Blazers as a whole were like over projected points wise. I don't think like ESPN really put together how many points are like feasible for a team to score. Because I think they had Simons projected scoring 21 points per game. They had Scoot at 18. They had Aiden at 18. They had Grant at 20. And they also had Sharp at like 18, I think. Also at 18. So that's already like 130 points, assuming the rest of the team scores no
yeah.
points.
Yeah.
So like they literally just didn't do the math and they got it wrong. It's like someone has to score less. Probably gonna be Sharp. I hate to say it. So I don't think
If
he's gonna be
somebody
that
gets
good in
injured,
fantasy
I mean.
this year. Yeah, exactly. So I think there was some misprojecting with this pick. Don't know how Draymond felt this late though. This was a great pick.
That's a
And then
fine
Zubac, I don't think will be very good.
B minus. But Luka,
Yeah, fringe B minus. But like Luca Wemby, I love. But yeah, I don't feel like there's a ton of value in the late end of this draft. I'm gonna give it. I still think it's like fringe B minus B though because he just has Luca and Wemby, so like that's huge. Because like
and Poole
even
and
if the
George,
draft,
I like.
yeah,
So.
exactly. Like even if the draft isn't like insane, like Luca, Wemby, Paul George as potentially your top three guys, like that's gonna win you games. Like this team's gonna be in the playoffs. So fuck it, I'm gonna say B.
He's a solid owner. He streams pretty well. So
Yeah, I just wish Reeves wasn't here. That's like my big gripe.
who knows though? That with he is the third option on that team, and LeBron and AD are certainly not going to play a ton of games. So
I don't know.
maybe he
I think my
justifies that value at the end of the season. But well,
I think my boy D'Lo is gonna be better. I think he's gonna prove like the fourth option.
we'll see.
We'll see though. We'll see. We already kind of looked at my team, obviously an A plus. Continued
A plus. Talked a lot about
Flames. Yeah, we did, but we'll still kind of do our quick overview. Let me get back to where we were. Our Flames. Halliburton's amazing. Kind of wish this was SGA, but that's okay. Still feels like a strong start. As we mentioned, like Lillard feels like a steal, and if Durant plays, he's gonna be insane. It's like the three-headed monster, potentially four-headed monster, also with Kawhi, is insane if they all play. If they all play, like this team is amazing. And
insane.
even if one of them gets hurt, it kind of feels like he has that insurance because he does go like four players deep. So although there are injury concerns, it would take a lot of injuries to derail this team. And then kind of like later, it's like Turner, I like, you kind of know what you're getting out of him. Like, I don't think the upside is huge, but I think he'll be like an 80. Keegan Murray, I don't know if I love. Like, I like the upside. I love him as a player, but I don't know if his role grows by like as much as ESPN is projecting this year. If you remember last year, he was like a 55. He was like unrosterable.
Pretty much, yeah.
Healed, I think, is a drop. Portis, I think, will probably be like a 70.
Yeah, that's a decent pick.
And MPJ I kind of like, but he was pretty streaky last year. He was like a 66, but I think it's good value here. I think he's gonna be rosterable. And he's doing good tonight, so maybe he'll have a better season. And then Bojan is like a good stash. He was like a 70 when he comes up IR, and then Sohan is of course amazing. He's starting as a steal, best pick of the last round, so I really like that as well.
Yeah, the four-headed monster, like you said, potentially. Obviously there's some injury concerns, but there's kind of that safety net of having the four. Yeah, awesome job. And A minus, A. I love this team. I really, really do.
I agree. I say A minus. I wish the Murray and Healed picks were different. That's the only thing keeping it out of A territory for me. But
Even
I give an A
Turner.
minus. And if one of them does well, yeah, Turner I also don't love just because I feel like there could have been higher ceiling players, but I think he's at least like a guaranteed 80.
Yeah.
So although it's not like a home run pick, it's at least like a you didn't screw it up pick. Like
That's
I think it's a
fair.
fine pick.
Yeah.
So really just these two guys. And if one of them ends up being valuable this season, then I guess I'm wrong and this should have been an A.
All right, the Frogs.
Yeah, we are one of them. A plus, of course. Absolutely
think?
fantastic.
Do you
Yeah,
really think
best
so?
team ever. Oh, should I give an honest grade?
Yeah, why not?
I would give them like it's tough because like I think the draft overall is like good. Like I think you took the right guys. Really, like the only concerns I would have on this team is like Harden and Jaw. Like, is that because like this team's so hard to grade because like this team's really gonna like suck in the first half and then be really good in the second half. I think when everybody's back, it's like an A plus team. But that's like assuming like the team's in a good spot when Jaw's back. It's assuming that like Harden, ends up playing for a team this season. It's like kind of a big if because there are a lot of ifs. I think I'll put it like a B plus. I feel like that's like a fair range. But if everything works out, it's like A plus. Like it's gonna be one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, I am a tiny bit worried. I know you kind of jokingly said doubling down might as well, but I kind of wish I took one. I kind of wish I didn't take Harden. I wish I just took Paul George, but who knows? Maybe this will resolve himself. Maybe he really is caring for his ailing mother, and that. But it's like, man,
Yeah, you might be right because there was a little bit of a tier there of like guys who had slipped who would have gone higher under normal circumstances. And it's like the value prop between like James Harden and like someone like I took like McCollum is like huge. That's potentially like a 25-point difference per game. But like the difference between like Harden and Paul George isn't like as big. It's potentially like a 10-point gap. So it's like maybe I would consider Paul George there, but also like if Harden like comes back and plays for the Sixers, like he's gonna be like a 110, 115, and then
yeah,
in that case, like the payoff is huge, even over Paul George.
for sure. And
So we'll see. It's a gamble. We'll have to see if it pays off.
the Montreal Metros. Weird. Doesn't totally fit Tim's vibe. The Metros.
Yeah, and like Montreal, it's a little bit chilly. But I think it's good. We're expanding to Canada. I think that's good for the league.
That's true. And the logo is beautiful. I think it's the best logo in the league. Cena did a really nice job. This
Yeah,
was
I agree. He continues to outdo himself every time.
in
Here's a
our other
little logo action.
yes, I mean last year I did another fantasy league with there was an auction and we did it with a few guys. It was kind of a failure because I wasn't very invested into it. But Cam, one of Cena's friends, and he's my friend as well, used that same name and logo, which is fine. But it's weird seeing it being reused. And he loves Montreal. He loves public transit. Tim, don't you drive your car to work, man? Sorry.
Yeah, he's not really embracing Montreal as of now. But it's like relegation like in soccer. A G League team does really good. We call them up to the pros.
But the colors on that logo are insane. The name is really cool and creative, so I am happy it's being used. Let's look at his
Totally.
team. I think top. I think he did a really good job, honestly. The later picks, meh, but Sabonis,
Yeah, I think
Booker, Bam, Jamal, Tyus, I all love, and Kelvin.
yeah, I think the top four are gonna be awesome. It's like I think it's like maybe like the top three like isn't as strong as some other top threes, but Jamal is such a strong number four that I think that helps out big time. I'm not like the biggest Tyus Jones guy, but like he's gonna have the role on this Wizards team to where it's like I think he's like a safe pick. I think it'll be like an 80, 85.
Yeah,
Kind of who I love though is like Kellen Johnson. I think Kellen Johnson's probably due for a big season. He was like a sneaky like 80, like 83 or something last year. And although like Wemby's coming in is going to take some touches, like if he just continues improving, he could be really good this season. He could be a little bit of a steal. So I like these top six picks here. Bottom half I don't like as much. Capella is like a consistent 70, 75, but you gotta kind of wonder if um who's the backup center on this team? It's
Okongwu.
I know I'm blanking. Yeah, Kongwu. It's like Okongwu is kind of as good though, so it feels like they might split minutes this season. Maybe there's a chance that they move off Capella. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I do think like that kind of hurts Capella's value. Brogdon, I don't really know what to make out of this. I don't know if he's gonna play that much.
He looked
Looney, I
okay in
like.
preseason.
Yeah, I just don't really know if the Blazers want to play him though. I think they probably will give him that sixth man role, but even last year as sixth man of the year, it's like he was like maybe like a 65 in fantasy. So I don't know if he translates that well to fantasy. Same with Looney, who I think is good, but I don't know if fantasy value's there. And same with Powell and Monk. I think they'll probably both be like free agents in the near future.
Yeah, especially if George and Kawhi are playing. Powell, I think gets
Yeah.
relegated. But when they're not, he had some nice moments last year.
Yeah, and Man's got the bigger role now. Westbrook starting at point guard. So like he's a good sixth man. And like I think he'll have like some streaming opportunities as people inevitably miss games for the Clippers, but I don't know if he's gonna have like a roster spot for the full season. I'd be surprised if he sticks around on this team.
But second to last pick, it's whatever.
Exactly. And Monk, that's a flyer, but like top 6 picks I love. I think these are all really good.
And I think there's a world where Brogdon, I think what you said is very valid, but he's on a young team. He's a veteran and he's an extremely talented player. So who knows, that could work out. Looney, I think, has proven to be a very consistent force, but will the minutes pan out? I don't know. And it'll be inconsistent because they're not always going to want to go bigger with him. But I love Looney. And if he's able to get like 26 plus minutes, I think he's fantasy viable, which isn't a huge benchmark to hit. So
Yeah, could do it. Yeah, see, that's the league though. I'll give this like I think I'll give the Metros I'll give them a B,
I'd say B
potentially
plus.
B plus. Yeah. I think some of the later picks I liked a little bit more. That puts in like the B plus A minus territory, but give it a light to strong to B or whatever the needlehead says.
I'm gonna let my cat out. I think Tim did a great job. Yeah, B plus. But the big three, I mean, it's a solid big three. It's a solid big three in the 4 and 5.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to look at teams as like a big 4 team. And I think Murray's good enough where you kind of group him in because he's a guy who can easily be like 88, potential 90. So I like this team. I think it's deep. I think Tim will check and be consistent. So I think this is definitely a potential playoff team. Then fuck it, I'll give you a B plus, Tim, because you're especially as a new owner, like well done, phenomenal draft.
My cat threw up on the floor. Very dope.
All right, well we're wrapping up in a second anyway, so we can wrap up. You can clean up your cat puke. Let me just check some teams real quick. Let's see. Okay, Jokic 120 already. Love to see it.
So
was here at the third quarter. 65 for D'Lo, pretty good also.
fuck you.
Murray doing good. Gordon's amazing. Reeves is doing like okay.
Wow.
LeBron not doing that well. Davis doing good. We're okay. God, this Wood pick has got to hurt right now, Sean. Ouch. Big ow.
Oh my god.
Cool. I love it. I love this team. We'll see how it does. Excited to see how this game pans out. Also excited to watch Suns Warriors later. It's gonna be an absolutely awesome game. So we'll see. Stay tuned for more content too. Yeah, like now that like the season's underway, it's like we're gonna be cranking out the content. There'll be tons to talk about. I don't know. I'm stoked to like tune into my first basketball game of the season.
Yes, I'm gonna catch the end of this game, and then I've got Paul and Kuminga, so best believe I'll be glued to my the fantasy cast as well as the game because it should be a good game, and I'm interested. Those are 2 teams that I think we're both super interested to see how they end up doing. Man, what an episode!
Agreed. It was a long one. We grinded through it, but I don't know. The fantasy ones fly by though. That was light work.
That was light work. But yeah, that's gonna probably be 40 times 3.
Yeah, I say that's all we got.
Easy.
I had Stone texting me being like, I want to come on the pod and talk about my team, but I think this episode's probably gone on long enough. Maybe we'll make time like towards the end of the week or the weekend to bring on special guests to talk about their teams. And then we can also talk about matchups like midweek, that kind of stuff. So I think we'll probably hold off on interviews. Sorry, Stone. Next time.
We'll try to do them though, because it'll be, I think, funny to have those guys come on and weigh in. And but yeah, no, this would be like a 6-hour podcast if Stone came on, I fear. So
Yeah,
We'll,
exactly.
we'll end it here, man. What a time to be alive. I'm very excited for fantasy, as you guys can tell.
Me too. Me too. All right, let's go catch the game. Thank you all for tuning in. Oh,
Challenge
get
anyone to rip this
my
from
trophy.
no.
That is coming back to Houston after this season. Get ready.
See the crest. I don't want to. It's so expensive to ship it across the country. So
That's fine. I'll fly out and get it. I will. I'll make it happen.
okay, it's impressive, isn't it, guys? Anyway, sign us off, Harry. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in as always. Hope you are all as excited for the NBA season as we are. Great fantasy episode, but like we said, we will also have more NBA content coming. We'll have tons of it. So we'll do our best to stay on top of everything. And yeah, we'll keep you all posted. Stay tuned.
God bless.